What's up YouTube? Welcome to the channel. My name is Fareed and I want to welcome you guys to the very first episode of a new series titled the CNFT Deep Dive. Now my goal in this series is going to be to review the top NFT collections within the Cardano ecosystem, and I'm going to be breaking down a few different types of criteria. Now, as a part of today's video, since this is the first episode, I'm going to be reviewing none other than the Cornucopias Custom Dome NFT collection. And so before we actually jump into that, I do want to quickly highlight the grading criteria that I'm going to be using throughout this video. So first things first, we're going to talk a little bit about the team behind the NFT collection. And so as a part of today's video, we're going to be reviewing whether or not the team is doxed, the size of the team, the experience of the team, and their visibility within the Cardano ecosystem. Now, once we wrap that up and we're done talking about the team, we're then going to move over and talk a little bit about the community behind the team. And so when it comes to community, we're going to be reviewing the total number of Twitter followers and the engagement on that platform. We'll also talk a little bit about Discord and their engagement there as well. And then following that, we'll talk about the unique number of holders within the NFT collection, as well as the sentiment when it comes to the community, whether or not they're flippers or hodlers when it comes to that NFT collection. Now, once we're done talking about the actual community behind the NFT collection, we're then going to move on and talk about the utility and the selling points behind the NFTs. And so this is going to be pretty simple here. I'm going to break down the utility and then also whether or not these NFTs can be used to generate income in the coming future. Now, once we're done talking about the utility and the selling point of the NFTs, we're then going to move along and talk more about the price and the volume of the collection. Now, in this segment of the show, we're going to talk about the mint price, the minting experience for the actual mint of the NFTs. We're then also going to talk about the current floor price, the total trading volume, the market cap, and the royalties associated with the collection. And then at the very end of this video, we're going to take another look at the supply and the demand. And then when it comes to that, we're going to review the average number of holders within the NFT collection, whether or not the majority of holders within that collection are in profit or at a loss, as well as the holder distribution, which is going to be identifying how many or how much of the actual NFT collection is held by how many of the total number of holders. And then towards the end of the video, we're going to talk about how much of the NFT collection has been traded so far, the top 5 whale holdings, and then the thickness of the actual floor price. And so again, that's going to be the criteria that we're going to be using to break down every NFT collection covered here in the CNFT Deep Dive series. Now that we've got the introduction out of the way, let's talk about the NFT collection at hand for today's video. And so that's going to be the Custom Dome NFTs from the Cornucopias game. Now, if it's your first time hearing about Cornucopias, they're going to be a play to earn, build to earn, learn to earn, and host to earn metaverse building on Cardano using Unreal Engine 5. Now, the first bit of criteria that we're going to be reviewing is going to be the founders and the team behind the collection. Now, what we're going to be asking ourselves is going to be the following. Is the team doxed? And what that means is, are the full identities of the team members known to the general public? We're also going to be taking a look at the size of the team, as well as their experience and their visibility in the Cardano ecosystem. And so starting off at the very top, when it comes to the team being doxed, we can see here that the identities of the Cornucopias co-founders is well known to the community. And so right now, we're looking at the 4 co-founders who are Rob Gregg, Josh Jones, Jeff Hewitt, and Ant Renix. Now, one thing that's really cool here is that we just had 2 Cardano community events. The first was CNFT Con, and the second was Rare Bloom. I had the opportunity to meet all 4 of the co-founders at those events. And so I was able to chat with Rob and Josh, and I actually was able to also chat with Jeff and Ant. And I also had the opportunity to shoot one of the Kopi Cafe episodes during that time at Rare Bloom. Now, if you guys have not heard of Kopi Cafe before, this is going to be a weekly series released by the team in which they give the community updates about the development of the game. And so again, I think it's really huge here that the team is doxed and that they are attending events such as CNFT Con and Rare Bloom. When it comes to the size of the team behind the Cornucopias game, we've already highlighted the 4 co-founders, but behind them we have a team of, I believe, about 30 to 40 additional members, which range from blockchain engineers, graphic designers, NFT managers, and community managers as well. And so I do believe that they have the resources and the capital to not only sustain the project, but their ever-growing team. Next, I want to talk about the team's experience. And so here we can see that between Rob and Josh, they have anywhere between 45 to 50 years when it comes to entrepreneurship and building businesses. And then between Jeff and Ant, there's an additional, I would say, about 20 to 30 years of experience. And so it looks like this is not their first rodeo. And then especially having all four of them come together, I think it's going to be huge here again for the outlook and the growth of the Cornucopias game. The very last thing I want to highlight here is going to be the visibility of the Cornucopias team. And I want to say here that being able to meet them, as I mentioned before, at CNFT Con and Rare Bloom really goes to show that this team is out and about, and they're not scared to interact with the Cardano community. So when it comes to building trust here, I do think that this is a huge benefit. Again, being visible, interacting in Twitter spaces, responding to messages within the Discord, those are all things that really help to build the visibility of the team, but also helps to build the trust, again, within the community. Now, as a whole, if I had to grade them between 0 and 5, with a 5 being the best score they could achieve when it comes to this particular criteria, I would have to give the Kopi team a 5. Again, my reasoning for this is because the team is doxed, so we know who they are. Not only that, they're also interacting with the community. As I mentioned before, they're attending things such as CNFT Con and Rare Bloom. They're giving interviews weekly, if not more than that, with other content creators. They're putting their faces out there, and they're also responsive when it comes to their Discord and their Twitter. So again, those are all of the benefits in my reasoning as to why I'm giving the Kopi team a 5 out of 5 when it comes to their founders and their team. Next, I want to talk about the community behind the NFT collection. And so what I'm going to be highlighting here is going to be their presence on Twitter, Discord, and the unique number of holders within this particular collection. So let me share my screen again here with you guys. And as you guys can see here, when it comes to Twitter and their engagement, they have a total number of 42,000 followers, and they're posting quite regularly on this particular platform. So myself being a content creator, anytime that I post anything related to the Cornucopias game and I tag them, they do a very good job of not only engaging with it, but retweeting it out to the community for even more engagement. And so if you guys are not already following them on Twitter, I'm going to leave the link to their Twitter account, and I hope that you guys will give them a follow. Next, we're going to talk about their Discord. And as we can see here, they have a total of 38,000 members right now active in their server. Now, if you want to compare this to some of the other collections within Cardano, such as the Ape Society and the Clay Nation NFT collections, which are considered right now as blue chips in the ecosystem, those both have anywhere between 20 to 22,000 members in their Discord server. So the Kopi team, I would say, compared to those other projects, has a relatively high number of members within their Discord. And again, they do a really good job of shouting out and keeping them engaged in here. So if you guys are not already in here, again, I highly recommend that you join their Discord. You're going to get updates here when it comes to major announcements, minor announcements, their Kopi Cafe series, and just so much more. They even have Kopi leaks, which again are going to be sneak peeks about the game that are going to be released in their Discord server before anywhere else. Next, I want to talk about the total number of unique holders when it comes to the Cornucopias Custom Dome NFT collection. So taking a look at jpeg.store here, we can see that this collection is made up of 6,000 NFT items with a total number of 2,493 different owners. Now, if we wanted to find out the number or the average number of NFTs that each of these owners hold, we could take this 6,000 here and divide that by the total number of owners, which would give us about 2.4. And so let me pull up my calculator here and just to do the math here. And as we can see here, on average, we have each owner holding about 2.4 NFTs. Now, the higher the number of owners is compared to the number of items, I believe is going to be the better. And what that's basically going to give us is a more spread out collection amongst owners. And so again, we have a ratio of 2.4 when we're taking a look at the total number of items here shared amongst the 24 or about 2,500 different owners. Now, when it comes to the actual sentiment surrounding this collection here, I have been within the Cornucopias Discord and I've been following them pretty closely on Twitter. And I will have to say here that while this collection does have its fair share of flippers, just like any other collection does on Cardano, I will have to say here that I believe that the majority of the sentiment within the community is that they're long-term holders for this particular collection. Now, what does that actually mean? This means that a lot of the members here are purchasing these NFTs with a longer term vision here as opposed to a shorter one. And so again, because this particular game has not yet been released, we've had some teasers, some leaks, and some demos. The actual utility, I don't believe, has actually come into full effect. So I think that the community also believes that, and they're in this for the long term. In closing of the community criteria, I'm going to be giving the Cornucopias team a 4 out of 5 in this particular category. Now, the reason why is going to be because their Twitter presence and engagement is going to be higher than the majority of other metaverses building on Cardano, and their Discord presence is actually going to be a lot larger than any project, I would say, even outside of the metaverse space right now building on Cardano. Now, in regards to the total number of unique holders, I would like to see that number be a little bit higher. Again, we saw that on average, every holder in this collection is holding about 2.4 NFTs, and we have other blue chips within the space at about that same ratio, so I can't really knock them too hard for that. All right, moving over, we're going to talk about the utility and the selling point behind the custom domes. And so let me share my screen here with you guys. And what we're going to be looking at again is going to be the slide deck. So as a holder of the custom dome, you're going to be able to use it for features such as play to earn, build to earn, and learn to earn. And on top of that, you're going to be able to use the native Cornucopias game building tools directly within your custom dome. You can also use your custom dome for commercial activity, crafting and quests, and you can also apply game building kits or game templates directly within your custom dome. We can also see some of the different use cases. And so as a holder of a custom dome, you'll be able to use that for things such as DAOs and guilds. You'll also be able to use them for entrepreneurship. So people like YouTubers and influencers like myself will be able to use their custom dome to attract members or people within their own communities directly within their dome. You also have crypto natives and blockchain projects that can leverage these domes, as well as blockchain enthusiasts, different brands, gamers, and you can even have things such as expo halls and group meetups within the metaverse and your custom dome. Scrolling down even further here, you have these building kits, which, as I mentioned before, are going to be templates that you can apply directly within your metaverse or your custom dome if you're not wanting to build it all out from scratch. Now, there's going to be 4 different custom dome building kits coming. The first is going to be the Tropical Paradise, which we've already seen demos and leaks of. There's also going to be the Modern, the Concert Experience, and the Bunker Battle kits. And then on top of that, if you guys want to actually build out a business within your custom dome, you will also have the ability to do that. So things such as NFT rentals, for example, for vehicles, you'll be able to leverage your custom dome to host different entrepreneurship activities and different businesses within the Cornucopias metaverse. So again, here, when it comes to utility, I'm gonna have to give the Copy team a 5 out of 5. They've done a really good job of thinking about how members can use these NFTs and how they can be leveraged within the metaverse to drive the ecosystem forward, but also give back in terms of business opportunities within holders or to holders of the NFT collection. So that's really, really good there. Next, I want to talk about the price and the volume associated with this collection. And what we're going to be talking about here is going to be the mint price for the NFTs themselves. And then we're also going to talk about the supply, which we slightly touched on already. And then we're going to talk about the trading volume and their market cap. So let's jump back into jpeg.store here again. And if you guys are not aware, these NFTs actually minted for a price range of between $220 US all the way up to 2,500 for their largest custom dome. So their domes are actually broken down into different sizes. They have 5 different sizes, I believe: the small, medium, large, and then there's the epic, and then the largest, which is the copious. On top of that, they have different rarities. And so if you're accessing this collection on jpeg.store and you go to properties here, you can see the different sizes, which I just mentioned. And then you can also see the different rarities here, which are common, uncommon, rare, legendary, and mythic. And so that's going to cover the mint price. Now, the minting experience here was amazing. I actually participated in the mint, and the Cornucopias team worked very, very hard to build out their own NFT minting portal. And so from their portal, you can actually get queued up. You can connect your Discord account there. It'll verify your Discord roles. And then from their minting platform, you were able to enter a queue, which again was very simple. And so it was a lot better than the traditional mints that we've seen so far on Cardano, where you have to basically send ADA to a random exchange address and expect for them to send some kind of NFT back at a later date. The Copy minting experience was super smooth. They sent you emails. They had, an entire refund process if your order didn't go through, and they even had a ticket process where you could open tickets if you had any problem throughout the minting experience for their NFT collection. So again, huge thumbs up when it comes to that particular aspect of the Cornucopias Custom Dome NFT collection. Now, the current floor price is sitting at about 420 ADA, as we can see here. And one thing that I want to mention here, or keep in mind, is that the floor price is for the cheapest NFTs, which right now are the small dome NFTs. So the floor price for the larger domes is going to be significantly different. So if I were, for example, to add a filter here for Copious, you're going to see that right now the cheapest Copious size dome is actually worth a total of 7,000 ADA. So keep in mind here that while the floor price is 420, because there are different properties associated with this collection, such as size and rarity, that will impact the floor price. Moving along, when it comes to the total trading volume for this NFT collection, we can see that it's raised a total of 2.6 million ADA, and that continues to rise as NFTs continue to be traded. And then very lastly here, when it comes to price and volume, we have royalties associated with this collection sitting at 5%. And so I do think that this is a fair amount. We have some other projects within Cardano that have a much higher royalty rate. And I do also think that royalties do impact the total number of trades that occur within a collection, right? So sometimes we see that if you have too high of a royalty, that can impact the total number of people that actually want to trade, because those royalties are basically impacting the seller's profit, and they're eating into what they can actually keep once they actually make a sale. Now, when we don't see any royalties, we see that the teams are not actually benefiting from their NFTs being traded on the market. So I think it's a fine line. You always want to make sure that you have some kind of royalties, but you don't want them to be too high, right? So again, 5% for the Cornucopias game here. And if you want to compare that to other blue chips on Cardano, such as the Ape Society, they have a 5% royalty as well. And then if we want to compare to Clay Nation, they have 2% when it comes to their royalties for NFTs. So in summary, for the price and volume here, I'm going to be giving the Cornucopias team a 4 out of 5 for this category. Again, their NFTs were, I would say, relatively affordable, ranging from 220 USD all the way to 2,500. I will say that the 2,500 price was a little high, but again, if you guys were not able to participate in purchasing the Copious, you could have participated in purchasing the smalls, which were a little bit more feasible for the general public. The mint experience was a 5 out of 5. I was super excited about that. And the trading volume will continue to grow, and I believe the royalties are fair. So that's why I'm giving this again a 4 out of 5 for this category. The last criteria that I want to cover as a part of today's video when it comes to the deep dive for the custom dome NFTs is going to be supply and demand. So as a part of this category, we're going to take a look at the average holder supply. On average, how many NFTs does each holder in this collection hold? Whether or not they're in profit or at a loss, the NFT holder distribution, the total number of NFTs currently up for sale, the total number of NFTs within this collection that have been traded so far, and then how much of the NFT collection is being held by the top 5 wallets or whales in this collection. Next, I want to identify whether the majority of holders within this NFT collection are in a profit or at a loss. So in order to be able to do that, what we're going to do is take a look at the current floor price, and we're going to divide that by the average price of the sales of each of these NFTs. So as we can see right now, the current floor price for the custom domes is sitting at 420 ADA. And on average, these NFTs have traded for a price of 1,474 ADA. So I'm going to pull up my calculator here, and we're going to take 420 divided by the 1,474 average price when it comes to sales for this collection. And so that's going to give us a ratio of 0.28. And so what this means here is that right now, the majority of holders for this collection are actually at a loss. However, I want to add a huge caveat here. Earlier, I mentioned that the floor price right now is for the small NFT collection or for the small custom domes. And so, for example, let's say that we actually took this and we ran the same exact calculation using the floor price for the Copias, which was 7,000 ADA. So we take 7,000 ADA floor price, divide that by the 1,400 average price, and that would actually give us 4.74, which would tell us that for Copias NFT holders, that they're currently sitting at, on average, a 4.74 X in terms of profit, right? So if we were to use the floor price for the Copias domes, we would actually see that those holders on average would be in profit. But if we're using the 420 floor price, which is the floor price for the smalls, we will see that the majority of holders are at a loss because that ratio is below 1. Next, I want to talk about the wallet holder distribution for this NFT collection. And so earlier we were talking about the average number of NFTs being held by each wallet being at 2.4. But now I want to take a look at some specifics, right? So when it comes to the number of wallets holding a single NFT, we have about 1,500 different wallets, or about 62% of the total number of wallets holding one NFT. Now we have about 25 or 22%, I would say, holding anywhere between 2 to 10 NFTs, and that's 417 wallets specifically. And then when it comes to more whale type wallets, anywhere between 11 and 20 NFTs from this collection, we have 25 different wallets. And then the total number of wallets holding more than 20 NFTs from this collection is currently sitting at 22. So again, the majority are holding one, which means that there's a low likelihood of a single wallet having a huge impact when it comes to sales for this collection. Next, I want to highlight the number of NFTs currently on the market. So I'm going to jump back over into CNFT Jungle, and we're going to scroll up here to the very top. And out of the 6,000 NFTs, we have 353, or about 6% of the entire collection currently being listed on the market. Now, if you're wondering, how does this compare to other blue chips? When it comes to the Ape Society, they currently have 2% of their entire NFT collection listed on the market. And the Clay Nation NFT collection currently has 5% currently listed as a whole. And so again, this really goes to show that a lot of the members within this community are holding their NFTs for the long term, and we're not seeing a lot of them listed for flips right now on secondary marketplaces. Now, my 2 cents here, but I personally think that as the utility surrounding these NFTs becomes more clear and the actual games become released, we're going to see the total number of NFTs for sale continue to decrease, being that the utility will actually be in effect, in that you're actually going to be able to use your domes to actually play within the Cornucopias game or the Metaverse. Next, I want to talk about how many of the total assets in this collection have been traded so far. And so in order to figure that out, we're going to take the total number of unique assets sold, which in this case is 1,700, and we're going to divide that by the total number of assets in the collection. So let me pull up my calculator, and we're going to do 1,700 divided by 6,000, and then we're going to multiply that times 100 to get a percent, which is 28%. So here we've traded so far 28% of the assets in this collection, And that means that 70% has yet to be traded at least once on jpeg.store or on secondary marketplaces. Again, this really goes to show that the community is holding the majority of their NFTs. And if we compare this particular percentage to other blue chips within Cardano, we have the Ape Society coming in with 85% of their NFT collection being traded. And then with Clay Nation, we have 72% of their NFTs being traded at least once. Now, I do believe that as the Cornucopias game heats up, we will start to see some of these holders start to list their NFTs on the marketplace in order to be able to capitalize on some of their profits. Now, I want to talk about how much of the supply the top 5 whales within this collection actually hold. And so in order to do that, we're going to scroll back down here on this page where we have the top whales here, and we can see their addresses and how much of the NFT supply they currently hold. So I've actually gone ahead and already added these numbers here, but let's go ahead and just do that over again. So we're going to clear this out and we're going to add 213 plus 75 plus 71 and then plus 63 and 62. And so the top 5 whales are going to be holding a total of 484 NFTs. And if we divide that by the 6,000 total, that's going to give us, and let's multiply this by 100, that's going to give us 8% of the total supply. So the whales within this particular collection hold a total of 8% of the supply. Again, this is just corroborating what I mentioned earlier, that in this particular collection, there's not a high likelihood that there's going to be a few accounts that are going to control the majority of the supply. Again, I think that's really good in terms of the price appreciation for this collection, because what we normally see is as price appreciates for NFT collections, the whales will slowly, make profit. And in order for them to do that, they have to sell their NFTs, right? So moving forward, let's say that the Cornucopias game continues to appreciate. Well, the whales within the collection right now are only going to be able to control about 8% of the supply, and the general public will still have the majority control of about 90% of the collection. Now, how does this particular percent here compare to the other blue chips? If we compare this to the Ape Society, right now, whales in that particular collection are in control of about 12% of the supply. And then when it comes to Clay Nation, they're in control of about 7% of the supply there. So the fact that Cornucopias is at 8% does not alarm me one bit. This does seem to be about the same trend for other blue chips within Cardano. In conclusion of the supply and demand category, I'm going to be giving the Cornucopias team a 4 out of 5 in this particular section. Now, as we mentioned before, the number of NFTs held on average by holders in this collection is up to par at 2.4 NFTs per holder. The majority of holders right now do appear to be down in this collection, but again, do keep in mind that that is dependent on the floor price, which is also dependent on the size of the NFTs. So as you look at different sizes, you could potentially start to see that maybe some of these other NFT holders in this collection actually are in profit. So do take that with a grain of salt there. And then when it comes to the number of NFTs currently up for sale, that is up to par with other blue chips within the Cardano ecosystem. And we also just calculated that the top 5 whales in this particular collection do not own an overwhelmingly huge amount of the NFTs. So again, there's going to be a low likelihood that a few whales or a few wallets could impact you when it comes to this particular NFT collection. And so that is going to wrap it up for the first episode of the CNFT Deep Dive series. If you guys have NFT collections that you guys would like for me to cover, then make sure to leave those down in the comment section below. I'm going to make sure to do my due diligence before I cover any NFT collections on this channel, but I do want to give you guys that opportunity to at least contribute to what content is shared here on this platform. Now, if you guys found some of the information covered in today's video to be helpful, then do make sure to tap that like button. If it's your first time visiting the channel, consider subscribing. And if you have any questions or comments about any of the content covered in today's video, then make sure to leave those down below. With that said, I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.